The crypto sky has been falling, and there has been some real panic about whether this bull market is over before it has even really started. And at times like this in crypto, with some experience, this happens about every quarter in crypto, and especially a couple times a year. Now, am I worried? Well, we will discuss the concerns about what is going on and what isn't so concerning today in our show, as well as we'll look at what prices are suggesting. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel and our family. If you, like me, came into crypto because you realized the potential for life-changing gains over a 4 to 8 year period, and you're looking for a discussion on becoming a solid, unshakable, savage crypto investor, like a Navy SEAL of crypto investing, you're in exactly the right place and with the right family, the Rainmaker family. Now, the reason I created this channel is because I was once new to the crypto space 7 years ago, and I was looking for a channel just like this that went into depth on some projects that were fundamentally strong, and then analyzing why were they fundamentally strong so I could make my own decisions and kind of take in their insights and then form my own opinion. And I found most crypto channels are cool, they're entertaining, but they really didn't go into that. They didn't go into the deep pros and cons of different projects, the risks and the guesses at upside if it came together. Well, I didn't find that, and I was doing the research anyway, so I created it. And, well, it's not just me anymore. It is a whole family of Rainmakers. And you'll see them here in the chat. You will see them in our free Telegram group. And I don't interact there tons, but if you do tag me, I will get back to you. There is a link to the free Telegram group below. Mostly I interact in our private Discord that you have to sign up for the private Patreon to then join the Discord. And the Discord is where the best discussions are. And I am frequently in there, as well as myself and a whole bunch of people that think like me. And that is the best place to be if your goal is to make serious money over the next 4 to 8 years in crypto. Do note, I'm a crypto investor. I'm not a financial advisor. Paul, who is joining us today, he invests in many, many different markets, also not your financial advisor. And none of this to be taken as financial advice. Well, if you haven't already, make it rain on that like button, because today is Wednesday and Paul is joining us. And I know for many of you, this is your very favorite episode of the whole week.
Well, it's great to be here. It's interesting times. And yes, thanks for everyone who's tuning in. Looking forward to going through the markets and the picks.
Yeah, so we haven't done a show in 2 weeks. Last Wednesday, I was like deathly ill, and I reached out to Paul. I was like, I cannot make it. Not only am I not show ready, I need like 12 hours more of sleep.
Yeah.
Crashed back.
Truth be told, I wasn't 100% either, so it kind of worked out. But so the markets in between have been going one way, it seems. So it's wasn't a great week anyway. It's just whether we would have had a chance to kind of warn people about an impending correction. But things have been looking a bit corrective anyway, and we're very much in a summer lull, and it could get a little worse before it gets better. But there's also some really positive things out there that I don't think are going to materially change the view that we have, that this is just a correction before everything starts to move up. Seems like the altcoins are taking the brunt of this move, but they're more volatile, and they always kind of will. When the markets are looking to correct, they will correct harder because when they go up faster. It's a kind of you're swinging a bat around that's much bigger. The leverage is bigger. The moves are more exaggerated. It's kind of, it comes with the territory. But I think the main takeaway for the moment is that things haven't really changed. There's not much other than a pause in the trend, and we can see that in the majors. But if we look at the markets overall, there's been some really interesting things that have come out. So if you want me to go through the markets, I can show you the things that I think are interesting.
Yeah, let's do that. In just a second, I want to welcome everyone here. Money May all day said first, woohoo.
Woohoo.
And Bugsy is in here joining us. Now for, the last like 3 years, he was in the time zone over in China. and
Oh,
almost could never make the actual streams, just the recording. Bugsy also works as one of our admins in both Telegram. So all those bots and scammers who join, Bugsy is really good at kicking them right back out. Good to see you here, Bugsy. Yeah, let's
great.
get into some technical analysis.
Yeah.
A little bit about what you're looking at.
So we always start at the top of the page, don't we? Look at what the equity markets are doing. We've got the Dow Jones that's consolidating, but this is a bullish pattern in my view. So this is readying for a breakout, even though it's underperformed the rest of the market. We've got the Nasdaq, which is on a tear, new all-time highs, just burning higher, with Nvidia and the big seven pushing up. But this is not something to fade. This is a very strong trend. We always go with trends. And of course, the S&P 500 all-time highs as well. So as far as the American markets go, the most important markets, one could argue, there's no real sign of any slowdown, any change. And if anything, we had a strong payrolls number, which I think we mentioned, but the next thing to look at was last Wednesday's CPI number, which came in better than expected. So inflation is going down. Prospects for a rate cut are shifting towards the possibility. I think they're probably going to do it in September. And that's just a guess, a pure sort of speculation on how the trends might go. We had inflation numbers out in the UK. Again, inflation's better than expected. So when we had the war in Ukraine and everything got pushed up across all the commodities, as they have come down, the data year on year, as those have come down, has made our inflation numbers look better. So if the market keeps the same price, inflation is effectively zero. See what I mean? It's got to actually go up in order for the inflation to be registered. And so there are things that have corrected downwards quite significantly, which I think will show some good numbers in the US. And why that's so important is because a rate cut just puts more petrol on the fire or more alcohol in the party, or however you want to see it, that will be best for all risk on assets, including crypto and including altcoins. So that whole sector will benefit from it. The most sensitive being equities. The equity markets they're already running with it. They have been for a long time. And if we look at the VIX index, that's hovering around 12.3. The low's 11.5. That was a key low from 11.8, and it looks like it might go even lower. So it overall within Europe, and I could go into within the US and within Europe's seen a little bit of a correction here and there. There's some election noise going on that's caused a few knee-jerk reactions, but nothing that's changing the overall bullish trend. Where it's been quite interesting is the precious metals and base metals markets have been consolidating. They now look like they're ready to turn back up again. So they went down and going back up. Aluminium's on a tear, that's corrected, but it's maybe getting ready to go up again. These are all bullish signs for world growth. And we had the Chinese and the Hong Kong stock markets that were two of the only major markets that prior to February hadn't turned around, weren't going up. They're now going up, and they did their first kind of run, their first leg of the bull market, and then they had their correction. So that correction, I think, took a lot of sort of heat out of the markets. I think people were feeling a little bit kind of like it was a bear market bounce rather than a continuation of a bull market. So we had quite a significant correction. This is the Chinese stock market, and it's an important market for it to be going higher, and it was in such a significant bear market from February 21 that, and obviously nobody's was expecting a turnaround. They're still not really buying into the fact that this could be going higher, so there will be a lot of shorting going on as the market goes up. But I think, especially with this key trend line here, if we can get above this 12,000, nearly 13,000 and some change, if we can get up over there, there could be quite a powerful move to follow, and that I think will propel, as well as US rate cuts, as well as all the other asset markets that are rising, will propel the next phase in this crypto bull market. So it will filter down to it. Or at the very least, gives me a bias towards the upside. I mean, markets correct on their own. Bitcoin and crypto assets are known for their non-correlation at times with the broader asset markets, and that's why they're attractive, because they're not correlated. They can act out of sequence, if you like, so they act as a hedge. So if one's going up, the other's going down. But overall, I think there's a supportive underlying macro scene for crypto, and once it gets played out, we should see a change in trend. So if the market's thinking rates aren't going to go down until September, maybe they want to drag their heels a little bit before piling into more risky, crypto assets, perhaps. But I don't think that it's not going to happen, in the sense that, this is something that, even if rates don't go down, the overall underlying macro themes are still really positive. It's just that they would go on steroids. And something else to put fuel into the fire would be if Trump won in the US. I mean, things would just go berserk. And if you can tell me that that's not a possibility, then I'll say, well, then okay, maybe the markets will just go up a lot. But if it is a possibility, it's going to go up a hell of a lot. So there could be a massive rally coming anyway, because of politics and because of lots of other factors that is going to be effectively gaming the system. Trump is definitely going to be positive for the markets. I don't follow politics that closely, but some of the peripheral noises I'm hearing are suggesting that he has a chance. So, whether you agree with him or not, we're just here to analyze what the markets will do.
Yeah, and you're seeing that reflected in the markets. And in Trump's presidency, it seemed like for the US, it was really good for the economy. I think a lot of people forget how good the economy was going. It was going tremendously well. And then we had this crazy pandemic that threw a monkey wrench in it. But almost since he won, the markets were really bullish back in, 2016. And then the markets took off and went like crazy for a couple of years before the pandemic really kicked off.
Yeah. I mean, when Trump first got in, the markets, you look at what the markets did, they wobbled, and there was a bit like massive down day. But I think it was possibly one of the biggest down days in history, and then reversed so fast and then just went flying. And so
I forgot about that part. That is really interesting.
Yeah. So you got to see what the market kind of thought. Initially, there was like all this selling, oh, how terrible, but then realized he out of everybody, he is going to be good for business, for big business. Whether you think that's a good thing or not, I mean, I'm not commenting on whether it's a good thing or not, because you could have too much of a good thing, and you have to be careful in that regard as well. But he's very likely to promote the interests of business more than anything else. He's more likely to cut taxes, and it's more likely to make the economy, if it's already go on steroids. So
yeah, one of the cool things he did, I think they had to get rid of like 3 regulations for every new regulation they passed or something. What an amazing thing for the markets, because so many different regulations really act as a burden on the good actors. The bad actors don't care about all the rules anyway. And so a lot of times all those extra regulations just impose burdens on those trying to do it right. And so that just frees them up. A lot of times it's very burdensome, the amount of rules that they have that aren't really helpful. So great policy there. Love to see if he did get back in, him to implement something like that. He's made a lot of statements being very pro crypto. In listening to his statements, I don't think he knows very much about crypto. I think he does see the demographic as like, oh my gosh, these people are very, very into crypto. That doesn't mean he can't in the coming months learn more about it. I think his crypto knowledge is very superficial. I hope that should he win, he truly is a very pro crypto US president. The US needs that.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much just pro kind of property and land and what we would call interest rate cyclicals. So keeping interest rates down would be what he would want to do. And some regulation is good, by the way. I don't think all regulation should be removed. I mean, the regulation that separated banks, investment banks and retail banking was a very good one.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's been repealed has been the major problem. And just in a nutshell, that means that investment banks take risk. They sometimes gamble. Well, they gamble on the markets, and sometimes they create quite arcane investment products that are difficult to value. And then you've got the retail banking, which is somebody wants a loan, you take a loan out, you create a business, you pay the loan back, or you buy property, or you do whatever. You have like very boring businesses, but that's what banking was a long time ago. It's very, very boring. It's not this rocket science stuff that we have now. And the two things should be kept apart, because the risk of one can lead into the detriment of the other and bring the whole system down. And that's when you have the authorities, in hock, the US taxpayer and the UK taxpayer in hock for what the banks have done. And that hasn't been.
Then the banks take risks knowing that they'll be, they're quote unquote too big to fail.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then they get all the upside if the risk goes well, and the downside gets bailed out by everyone else, which is a terrible incentive setup.
Yeah. So that aside, banking crisis for the future to discuss, we will discuss that when we're closer to it. But for the moment, before that happens, there could be some very positive, outcomes. And it's great. We're saying, Bro Hooks, I've just seen a comment here, most bullish TA on YouTube. I mean, I don't know if I am really, but I don't see how you can't be when you're looking at the charts. I mean, they're all going up, new all-time highs, and certainly in the US markets, the equity markets, they're flying higher. I think Nvidia is possibly, is it the biggest company in the world? Might be the biggest company now. So, that's a sign of a bull market. So, I think everything's showing that now. Yes, the TA of the altcoins and Bitcoin, etc., which we'll get into, obviously don't look as good at this stage. And so there are things to work through, but these things move in phases. Remember, Bitcoin has had a tremendous run, an incredible run from the days when it was supposedly all over and, let's switch the machine off and forget all about it, to, the ETF getting approved. So, and I think there's much more to go in that story before we see a major top.
I was thinking a lot about kind of the jitters that you see across the market, right? And I was thinking about, like, I haven't actually felt like it was that big of a deal. Like, the last week has been fairly bearish, and these pullbacks happen, and they're quite savage and short-lived in that it just kind of freaks everyone out. And not everyone, it freaks out the new people. And I was thinking, like, the difference, I frequently talk about, if you're looking to become rich in crypto, you're really looking to become like a Navy SEAL in this. And Navy SEALs are often charging into the battle when everyone else is running away. Why are they doing that? Well, they're well-trained, they're unshakable, and they go in to where, like, they're very precise and going in for very precise missions. And it's like, look, if you're here to be an investor, you're looking for precision. Don't you want to be buying low or when there's blood in the streets, and then selling when general sentiment is amazing? And some of that just takes a while to figure out and to reverse your psychology so that you truly become unshakable. If you ever notice, like, a lion, like a male lion walking around in the savannah, and he's walking around and he's not like jittery. He's not like looking around all the time. He's just constantly like unfazed. He almost like turns his head super slow, like, yawn. Why? Because he knows he's badass, and he doesn't let the little tiny things like even disturb him or even bother him. And I was thinking, as people become really good in crypto, or even investment in general, they don't let these little, another little like swing like this happen, like bother them, because they're in for the longer term. And when it does happen, they evaluate, okay, what is down that I really, really like? And do I have liquidity to pull in there? Cool. And they're unshakable by this. And so that's what the end goal is, to be able to really do well in the crypto market. I've always been puzzled that so many people actually do somewhat poorly in crypto, and kind of thinking about that. Whereas I've known other people that do exceptionally well in crypto, and what is the difference in how people behave. Let's get started looking at some of the crypto markets. What's on your mind there, Paul?
Just before we jump into that, I just quickly wanted to mention the US dollar, because it is still going sideways, which is a bit frustrating.
Yeah.
But there are some signs that the cracks are appearing. One of them is in the Swiss franc, and this is a chart of the Swiss franc, which the US dollar was really strong against the Swiss franc before everything else was, and it's now weakening, perhaps ahead of everything else as well. So I find this move quite interesting, because the Swiss franc is usually a strong currency, especially at time of war, especially at time of uncertainty. Swiss being neutral, having a lot of gold, secrecy of the banks and all that sort of stuff, it can tend to attract capital. And so this move up I was quite puzzled by, because I thought that's a really strong move against one of the strongest currencies, but now it's starting to unwind. So we're not seeing a whole lot on the dollar index as yet, but I think we're going to see this breakout very soon. And by very soon, I mean by the end of the month. So, I'm not guaranteeing it. I'm just saying it's been in a range for long enough now, and I think it needs to decide what direction it wants to go in. And there's just more and more signs on rates and potentially on inflation. So this would be a very nice support to the bullish story if the dollar starts to go down as well. Now, when it comes to the actual cryptocurrencies themselves, I mean, what's happening here with Bitcoin? It's not really doing a whole lot. I mean, we're right in the middle of this range. 64,831 is where you could sort of cut this range in half, and it's pivoting above and below and above and below. It's just going sideways. It's hit a trend line here. Okay, it would have been nice if it shown a bit of support there, but we're still in a consolidation phase, and this could still potentially be a ascending triangle, which is a very bullish pattern. Now, I'm not discounting a top. If this is going to be a top, that would be the center point. You get 1, 2, and then down, but we'd have to go through 56 for that to happen, 56 and a half to confirm a top, and then I'd have to go bearish, because that would be a negative sign. The definition of a top is the market that's gone sideways for a long time with very bullish sentiment, which I don't think we've got. So I'm not sure that that really ticks the box. But a market that's gone sideways with very bullish sentiment, and then it breaks a significant support point, and that support point's here. Now, whilst we are where we are now, there's new people to TA and new traders. They play a game of picking the top, because they always want to pick the top. And we have an expression for the other way around. It's like monkeys pick bottoms. And I don't know, there's not a same expression for picking tops, but the only expression we have is the trend is your friend. And whilst the trend is up and it's not confirmed as yet as a top, we can't call it as a top. So the market is just consolidating. And if it takes this high out, the next move is going to be very aggressive. I would say that the longer it goes sideways in this range, up to a point, it can't just go sideways forever, but up to a point, then the more powerful the breakout will be, the cleaner the move towards 100,000 will be. So for the moment, there's really nothing going on here other than a consolidation. But this isn't bearish as yet. It's neutral. And it's neutral with a bullish bias, because the trend is bullish. The prior trend is up. And that's why in technicals we're always looking for the major trend to be the dominating move. And this is the dominating move. It's up. So we have to, in any indifferent position, go with that as the main signal. That makes sense. So I'm not just saying it's bullish because I want to be bullish. It's supported by macro factors, but if I was just looking at this completely on its own, that would be, what I would regard as independent analysis, unbiased analysis. Now, some people see what they want to see. They want to see it going down. They have a sense that it's overbought, and then they start to use their own, they look at the chart and they start to say what they want to see. And that's really hard not to do because, of course, we're human and people react like that, and they can't help it. But it's, in my experience of technicals, there are certain trigger levels and places where you decide to be bullish and bearish. And that trigger point is at this low, which everybody can see. You can see that low. That creates a double top. We're not there yet, so we're in this consolidation. And whilst that happens, if it say stops here and then starts to go up again, then that fits a very nice triangular constriction, which is a bullish pattern. And any break of a high is a buy in technicals. So unless it's exceptional for some other reason, but unless I suppose it rejects it, unless it goes up and then comes straight back down again. But overall, a break into new high, break of new resistance shows that the market dynamics are changing from a range to continue this overall trend. So for the moment, that's looking pretty good. ETH looking a bit better. I mean, it's not corrected as much. If we take the big picture, it hasn't made a new high. So it would be better if it was up here, closer to this prior high, but still, the trend is up. There's no reversal pattern. It looks less like a reversal pattern to me at this point. It looks like this trend is just consolidating for a bit and then we'll move higher. It may even outperform Bitcoin in this next phase. So we shall see, but that's still looking good. So the majors, as far as I'm concerned, are just in a holding pattern, waiting for a breakout.
Nice. Super sticker in from Randy. Love it. For those of you who don't know, we record Omi is My Homie on Wednesdays. We go live at, that would be 9 p.m. Eastern. I think 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time. So join us for that. Awesome. Generally, people get nervous about Bitcoin and ETH, but as you laid out there on the charts, like this is just normal pullback stuff. The altcoins have been savage extra, and a lot of my viewers are in altcoins. Most everything I have is in altcoins. I hold very little ETH, almost no Bitcoin. These kind of pullbacks are just normal. All right, fear and greed is high. Interesting. What, the fear is high or the greed is high? Probably the fear, right?
Oh, the index. Yeah, he's referring to the fear and greed index. Yeah, so that I don't look at it that much actually. Maybe we should feature it and see what it's saying. But I go via when it comes to sentiment. I mean, it's really good to have sentiment indicators, and I just still feel that it's quiet. It's just really quiet, and we're not getting this let's go, let's buy, and this is fantastic, and to the moon. We're not getting any of that. Or maybe pockets of it, but not. And so tops normally form out of that. They don't tend to form out of, I'm not really sure, or I'm a bit worried. I think it's going to go down, and this could be a big correction. Look, that doesn't mean it's 100% going to go up. It's just it's unusual for it to do that. And in the markets, you're playing probabilities of what tends to happen, but there are indication there's sometimes it doesn't play out like that. Nobody can say 100% what's going to happen next, but I would say there's a greater probability of this being a consolidation before another very sharp move up than a big correction. But I've been wrong before. I can get things wrong, and as soon as I know I'm wrong, I will say. But at this point, I don't think there's any reason to think, other than we're going sideways, that this is anything other than a consolidation.
Yeah, fully agreed. These kind of things happen at least every quarter. And I enjoy kind of looking through the thumbnails, a lot of the major crypto YouTube channels, and just like, oh my gosh, no, the bull market is over, and it's like, come on, really?
I mean, I really doubt it's over. Even if we get a big correction, I doubt that it's over at this point. It just seems it's not right. Rates going down, the markets are running really hot. So, and we could be getting one of the most bullish presidents back in history. I mean, he's not going to get another term, is he? So what's he going to do in those 4 years, or at least what's he going to attempt to do? He's going to want one last chance at the table. He's just going to really enjoy it, I think.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about running for re-election or anything. He just has to go in there and do what he's going to do. I think he came as an outsider to Washington, didn't know Washington at all. I think he trusted a lot of people who stabbed him in the back. Now he kind of has a feel for who to trust and who not to trust. I mean, Washington is a snake pit, like a swamp. And what most people forget about swamps is, there's all kinds of alligators, crocodiles, and snakes. And he learned that the hard way. Having a business guy go into Washington, that's the downside, right? Like the Washington people, they're like, this is my turf. What are you doing invading on my turf? You're not one of us. And he wasn't. That's why they were so visceral to him, I think.
We've got elections coming up in the UK. This is, I guess, why it's kind of on my mind. But it's not just that. It's because September's not, well, it'll be November, won't it? So they'll start to gun the markets, make the markets go. It's so interesting that just as our election's happening, inflation is falling, and we're talking about rate cuts and all that sort of stuff. It's all coming.
It always seems to come together, right?
Perfectly timed for the elections. It's like, what a surprise, So
who knew?
He knew. I mean, it's like the data will start to look good ahead of the election, and the markets will respond. Some will respond way before, and some will take a little bit of, waiting until they're seeing some good data before they move. But that's just the way it is. I still think it's to come.
Well, we have quite a lot of picks. The first ones on here are in the blockchain gaming space, and the blockchain gaming space has been in a lull, and I love lulls. I love it when everybody is forgetting about certain sectors that I think have a lot of bullishness behind them. So I was somewhat disappointed last October when the blockchain gaming space absolutely ran like crazy, and I was like, shoot. Well, narratives go into focus and then they go out of focus. And so it's been out of focus and people are forgetting about them, and prices are getting attractive again. And that's what I love to see. As an investor, I like to buy low so I can sell high. I see a lot of new people in crypto. They like to buy high with the idea that it'll just keep going higher. And they find out often it doesn't work that way. So what do you see in their price here?
So this is games for a living, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the first one. Yeah. So games for a living, I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago. And we were looking at the support points, which should have come in around here at just below, well, just around 2 cents, because that was the breakout point here. See, and it's when it comes fit, 100% retracement, you'd expect some support. You also look at how mirrored this is, the way it's gone up, the way it's gone down. But in any case, it seems that this correction isn't over. We still I haven't found a reason to buy it yet on this trend. In other words, that we want a trend ending signal of this. The simplest way to look for something like that is to put a trend line in, and the first sign is a break of that trend line. We haven't seen that as yet. We haven't seen a significant high broken. So resistance, support, resistance, that is lower than that, and it's still going down. Now, when markets reverse, they tend to go sideways for a bit and then take out the resistance points, and then we can start calling for a buy. You could try on support points, which is absolutely fine. There's support levels, like, we can say that this was support at 2 cents. We can say that this is support here as well at 1.226 cents. that could be a place to buy as a testing point, and then just see how it goes. But overall, this trend is still down, and it needs to dig its heels in for me before I can say that it's time to go back up again. So it's definitely a wait from my perspective.
Yes, I'm excited about this price action, and I agree with you. I think it's going to get cheaper. And I haven't loaded up on this one. I really like the fundamentals behind this project. One of our Discord members, our Gold Rainmaker Discord members, he tuned me into this one. I was unaware of it. And he said, hey, what do you think about this one? It looks really good. I looked at it, I was like, this does look really good. But it had recently released, and it was on this crazy trend going upwards. And I was like, well, shoot, I missed the period of when it was really attractive. Now, I did notice that they had a token cliff, like some vesting cliffs for a lot of their pre-sale investors, and that a small percentage of their tokens were in circulation. So to me, that was exciting because I thought, well, maybe it will come back down to a good price as their tokens start vesting. And you can see now they have 24% of their tokens in circulation. So they're definitely having their tokens come into circulation, as well as focus has come off of blockchain gaming. So the combination of those two things are really pushing the price down, and will probably push it down cheaper. And I never loaded up on this one because there were so many options that were at like what I felt were really cheap prices that I wasn't going to FOMO into something that I really like fundamentally, but it was unclear how good of a deal it was. I just wait and load up when I know it's a really good deal, and it's getting there. Have I loaded up yet? No. Do I like this one a lot? I would love to get this one. Love to get this one half price of where it's at. So you'll probably continue to see more of their tokens come into circulation. You'll see the market cap stay the same or go down. You'll see the price come down on this, and that's getting really exciting. Boy, it'd be juicy to get this if it could go back down to half a cent again, or even below that. And as long as blockchain gaming doesn't come into the narrative, I think it might. So 100% agree with you. This is a wait, and this is a juicy wait. I mean, I'm loving the direction that this is going. I love to buy low, and this is one I really, really like the team behind. Very experienced game developers that moved over in the space, and it was like their team was like the who's who of gaming. So excited to see that there might be a window where the price just gets so cheap I can't pass it up. So fantastic suggestion for us to look at. Definitely one to keep an eye on. I did want to share a quick message from our sponsor. This is actually my own Zero to Crypto Hero course. Made a little commercial preview of it. If you haven't taken this course, I find that this is right for some people and not others. And when I say that, it's because not everyone here is here for the long term. If you're here to make really good money, it does take some education, some time to learn to become really good at this. And I specifically made this course for people that are going to be investing a couple $1,000s or more in the crypto space and are very serious about making this work. And I call it Zero to Crypto Hero because it's all the stuff I wish I had been able to learn from someone else without having to go through the experience that took me 4 to 6 years to really, really get to be able to pass that on to you. And so that you can, I guess, leapfrog your experience level and understand some of the principles that took me years to understand on why certain people make a lot of money in crypto and some don't. Here is a preview of that course. If you were like most of us, we came into crypto for life-changing gains, but were you aware that 89% of people do rather poorly in crypto? Only 5% achieve massive gains, and it's because they're doing things differently than most in crypto do. If you want to learn what most successful people in crypto do different, my Zero to Crypto Hero course will show you 5 massive mistakes to avoid and 3 things you need to be doing right. All right. If you haven't taken that course, strongly suggest you take a good look at it and whether it's right for you. All right, let's jump over to our next token we want to look at, Myria, which went to the stratosphere back in October when Alex Becker covered it, and it created a price bump. And then every other bigger YouTube influencer started covering it. And blockchain gaming came in the narrative, and it went like 15x. And now it's been coming back to reality for early bull market, and it's becoming juicy again.
Yeah, it's certainly reversing. Yeah, I'll just give you the other part of the chart here. So you can see sideways, boring, then suddenly we get this breakout, this new trend, accelerates in this second phase, and then a blow off top, and then correction, lower top from this point, and then it reverses from that support, break of that key support. I know it chewed it for a bit, but that was on the way down, and then it's been trending down. So I think for me, it's been a wait. Some levels to attempt to buy it at have been this 0.5 cent level here. That would where I would have tried to buy it, but only on the basis of prior support. The fact that it's broken that means, if I'd bought here, it would have been an exit position, because every position I look to get in, I also look for the exits as well. And so the next question is, well, where is it going to stop? Because it hasn't stopped yet. It's still correcting down. Short answer is I'm not sure. I think it might even have to come all the way down here. I can't see any other than, I suppose, this support here. What's that around? What's that? 337, 2 zeros and 37 there. But down here at 2.19, I think that might be where it's headed before it turns. I mean, I'm not sure what it's waiting for, really. It's come off quite aggressively, and it might be one of those ones that needs a big shakeout, that capitulation, and then all the, anyone who wants to sell has sold, and then that's it, and then it's just bull market from there. So for the moment, I think it's a wait. I can't justify on my technicals buying it as yet. And again, similar to the previous chart, I'd put in a trend line, and that's my first tripwire for actually getting in. I don't want to miss things that are going up, and I do have to have something that tells me the dynamics have changed. I move over this 0.05 level, 0.005 level. That to me is a really nice resistance point now. So if it gets over there and breaks the trend line, that's two things together that I would say I would have to take note of. But for the moment, it's still a wait.
Yeah, agreed. It is. There's no sign that it's really turned around yet, other than it's hitting some resistance. I guess it's shown better on this chart. So if it breaks below this, it might come back down to this level here. Now, this was the juicy level that I was super excited about Myria's price as it was trading in here. And I was covering Myria frequently, and a lot of people are trying to argue with me, and they're saying Myria will never do well. Myria won't do well until a big game launches, and that big game won't launch for forever. And guess what? Hasn't launched a big game yet, and still this happened. All that had to happen was blockchain gaming coming into the narrative. When blockchain gaming came into the narrative, guess what? Myria absolutely took off. So what they didn't understand is, well, sometimes narratives run, and then solid projects within that narrative go crazy, even if that project doesn't have any big announcements about it. And that's exactly what happened with Myria. So a lot of what I do is I invest at low prices when things are solidly outside the narrative, and I wait. Now, blockchain gaming has been out of the narrative. The price has been falling and falling, and maybe fall some more. So I definitely would like to see more of a turnaround pattern or some bottoming pattern, maybe something like this, before I think it's a buy again. For me, it's a wait, and it's getting juicy. I like to see this stuff. This is amazing. There are other things that I think are incredible deals right now. Myria, is just hard to tell if it's likely to keep falling at this. I don't see a turnaround yet. So I definitely am not going to buy at this price. I'm just going to wait. Is it a good price now? Yes. Is it a great price? That's unclear. Cool. Fantastic suggestion. Let's take a look at our next one, which is PMON.
Yeah. So polychain monsters, right? I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So just checking the up-to-date price, which I think it is. Yeah. So, this is one of those ones again it's been in a downward trend, and we've got this consolidation here, which could be building up for a trend ending signal. This is how trends end. The markets go down, then they consolidate, get really boring for a long time. Everyone forgets about them. They quietly break up, and then they explode. And at the moment, it's still in this consolidation phase. So all I can say is it's definitely a wait from me, very simply. Especially again, you've heard me say this before. When something's very close to its all-time low of the chart, that makes me more cautious. I know it has confirmed a buy at these levels. In other words, the market's rallied up from these points, and places where we have confirmed buying, the market can buy again, and they may look to buy at those points. But those short-term traders that do that very often will bail out very quickly if that level is then broken. So that's why it can accelerate into new lows if you get a break of these supports, because people are buying against them, and then if it doesn't work, they quickly bail out, and that pushes the market down fast. So I prefer to see that sort of move on the upside. Obviously trading it to the upside. When you're shorting it, it doesn't really matter, but I wouldn't be shorting something like this anyway. So for the moment, this is still in its consolidation phase. It's too early for me to jump in as a buy. There's some nice resistance levels that would be very attractive at 89 cents. You might say, why would you wait that long to buy it when you could buy it down here? And that would be a kind of fundamental argument if you can see something that other people can't see, and then when everyone else can see it, of course, the price will get revalued. But from a technical point of view, I can only go by what the price action's doing, and I can only buy when the trend is moving up, and that will be around this 89 cents point, unless we see something else. And that would be a confirmation that it's trying to get out of this box, out of this consolidation. And in the very short term, as you can see how the chart is heading towards the low. So the probability of it breaking that low is increasing as we approach it. And so we'd have to wait and see. So definitely ask about, all these are interesting for various reasons. I know that's sort of bearish at the moment, but it's important to look at them again in a few weeks or maybe a month or so and see how it's performed. And then we can get an idea of whether it's turning around or not. But
Agreed.
Yeah, it's definitely a wait. Yeah.
So interesting about the price action on this. The price action is devastating. The price was all the way back. It launched into the bull market. There were very few of their tokens in circulation, and the token price was going for $42. Price has absolutely been devastated. Now, if you notice, the overall number of tokens isn't very high. So there's 3.4 million in circulation. A lot of projects have billion, 10 billion tokens, 100 billion tokens. So you have to figure in not what is the price per token, but what the market cap is. And the market cap is right around 1 million right now. If all the tokens were in circulation, the fully diluted market cap would be 3 million. So it's getting to a really juicy price. The next question is this project going to survive? So I first kind of do a preliminary look at things if I'm deciding whether something is interesting, and the price looks very, very interesting. So secondly, you have to evaluate what are the chances that this project is going to survive. Now, I go into this a lot more in depth in the Zero to Crypto Hero course, because on preliminary levels, this is where I like to buy. It's juicy, it's cheap. You see this nice rounding bottom here. It's looking good. But if the project dies, well, it will get way cheaper from here. In fact, it might go to zero. So the next question is, what is this? Is this likely to survive? And that's where you really start some more research. And a good place to start is Twitter. Take a look at their engagement, not just how many followers, because you can pay for followers. So they have a good number of followers, 118,000 followers. Let's look at how much engagement it's getting. Okay, 17 likes on this, 35 likes, this many views, 43 likes. So a lot of those followers are somewhat dead. The question is this going to survive? And so you need to go like a next step and probably search for some interviews with the team, whether you can find them on recorded Twitter spaces or you can find them in videos on YouTube. But you want recent details from the team and kind of listening to their audio tone. What is their confidence about? Are they going to keep working through this bull market or bear market into the bull? And technically we're in the early bull market. So they don't have to survive that much longer. It might be 6 months, 12 months, worst case scenario, 18 months longer. And we should be into a big bull market, at which point everything that's still alive tends to do well. Now, the premise, well, we already know that games related to Pokemon do well, and that's obviously what they're playing on, right? They're calling it PMON or polychain monsters, but really kind of identifying with Pokemon, which is a monster capture game. Very popular narrative. So if they can stick around and survive, then probably their token will do well. So I'd say possibly a buy, but there's further investigation to do as to whether they're interesting. I really like that when this was being requested by Anthem, he said, PMON, so we gave some details. PMON has a battle game, NFTs, nice website, and making a mobile game. They have 50 to 60K holders and a low market cap. So I love it when you request videos, when you give some details about what you're liking about it, because sometimes you'll know a lot more about the project than I will on a fundamental level. And I'll only have like a minute to do some surface research here. So you are able to share some good insights when you know some stuff about it. All right, let's jump over to the next one, which is VAIOT.
So, yeah, VAIOT. Now, I wonder whether we had actually looked at this on this breakout point here, because that for me would have been a very good buy signal, 2nd of March. And then it gets rejected, obviously within about a month, just over. So that would have been a buy signal, but it's like, the trend didn't extend, which is a shame because that was looking really good at that point. It is obviously correcting in the short term, and the obvious support point is where it is now, around 10 cents, because that was support from here, it was resistance from here. It's a really interesting point where we are now. But it has accelerated into that decline. These downward moves have become a bit more urgent in their makeup. So I'm just wondering whether that 10 cents is actually going to break and we're going to see it drop to the next support point, which the first major one is actually all the way down here. It's 4.2 cents. But somewhere in this zone, I would have expected some form of buying to come in. And again, it's one of those ones where we have to wait until the buying actually comes in before we get confirmation of a reversal. And it does seem that there is a general trend for a correction in all the altcoins. So it's not like this is being picked on as everything else is going up and this is going down. It's just how the overall market just seems to be right now, which I think will turn, and then it will be important to see whether these go, which ones turn with the major markets and which ones lag, and that will give us a lot of information as to which will outperform in the future. But for the moment, I think it's going to have to be a wait, unfortunately, because it is still correcting. It isn't confirmed that this is going to hold here, although it is a very good level. I'd be interested to see if it does. That would take a couple of days from now, so perhaps request this in a couple of weeks again, and we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing about this one before. So I was doing a little bit of research on who they are. So VAI is the token. You can find them here on CoinMarketCap. Looks like their tokens are showing up on CoinMarketCap as of right around the bull market of 2021, and the price was just under $2. It's all the way down to 11 cents. It was down to 0.4 cents. So it's gone up tremendously since those lows in 2022. A little bit of research on them in Twitter, and it looks like the first VFAA regulated digital asset issuer combining AI and blockchain to synergize AI assistance and on-chain contracts. I hate it when they throw in like these buzzwords that, like, I don't know, that just are kind of trendy, but it seems like AI or on-chain contracts. Now, blockchain is really good for immutable things. Like contracts are a great thing to have on the blockchain. That way they're immutable. It's like that's where the contract is and you can recognize it there. As well as a lot of money gets tied up in legal disputes around the world, especially as business has gone so international. So I like this idea of having contracts on chain, as well as maybe agreeing up front when they make a deal to use some kind of arbiter that can then arbiter and decide for one side or the other without having to go through court costs. And so it seems like that's where they're going. There is a business need for this if it can be brought together well and becomes trusted. So interesting narrative. They're out of Malta, it looks like. Okay, interesting. Price, though, their price is way up from what it was. I like to buy cheap. They are no longer cheap now. Are they relatively cheap? Maybe. So are they a good deal? I don't know. Are they a great deal? No, they're not a great deal. A great deal was way down here. So versus some of the other great deals, I would have to have a solid reason or understanding why this is going to go so much bigger from here to be interesting. Now, will it probably go up in the bull market? Undoubtedly. If the bull market plays out like I think so, I don't see why it doesn't go a lot higher from here. Percentage-wise, I just can't tell if this is a great deal. It's definitely not the great deal it was way back here. So it's what, 20x or so up from its bottoms. And so it's already made part of its run. How much is left? I don't know. So for me, it's just a wait. I like to buy cheap. You can see GFAL, Myria getting really cheap. There's some other ones. If we have time to get to Omi's really cheap. So there's lots of good deals. Let's take a look over at KASPA.
Yeah, so just looking at this this chart here, so I was just checking that the brush was working. So there's been a lot of volatility. It's been going effectively sideways in quite a volatile range without really very much direction of late. And I think overall, I still really like this potential because we've got this such clear resistance here at 19 cents. It's once, twice. To me, that's a door that when it gets opened, there'll be some great upside. But again, it's all about timing. Like, when will the timing come in? When will it reverse? And I right here, it's at such a neutral point. It's like literally halfway through the top and the bottom of that range. Now, it has got a rising low here, which is enough to suggest this might be triangular, but it's also it's sort of on the edge as to whether this is going to be a reversal as well, because reversals are very volatile like this and go on for a long time. Well, from November 23 to today, that's quite a long time. And if we were to break that, that would be a very bearish signal for me. So, I think I'm going to have to wait until this actually gives a clear signal. But I'm going to put it in the camp of the majors and say that because the broader picture is bullish, I would err on the side of being sort of looking for a bullish breakout within the next 3 months. But whether I would actually step in until I get that confirmed is another matter. I'd prefer to wait until it's actually clear. And I don't mind buying it, all the way up here, because I think the potential for it to then go much further becomes much greater, rather than buying it here or on this line is another potential place. But if it then starts to go down, for me, I'd have to bail out on that low, but you know, you can end up with capital caught up in something that's not really going anywhere. So in basic summary, I would say I am bullish in the long term. I do expect it to turn around, but I would expect to see bullish signals coming out that would then encourage me to buy. I'm not just going to buy it until I see that. So in the short term, it's a wait, but I've liked this before, and I like the way it performs near the high compared to some of the other markets, which are kind of down here by comparison and near their lows. I know it's different for everyone. You know, some people like to buy certain cheap markets and then wait for them to turn around. I don't mind buying expensive markets that become even more expensive.
Well, Jamie MC says, I think the whole gaming is dead or in a very long nap. It is definitely not dead. Not even close. Is it in a very long nap? I can't say I know how long the nap is, but it's getting cheap. Says, I am tempted to sell my remaining gaming coins for KASPA. I do not sell what's low to buy what's high. And that's just how I trade, right? So did I sell some gaming coins when they hit all-time highs? I did, because I sell what's high to buy what's low. I do not sell what's low to buy what's high. And that's just how I trade. And is KASPA high? Well, it's not cheap. Now, is it going to go higher? I don't know. This pattern could break to the upside or to the downside. It has had some serious momentum versus most everything else in the crypto market. But notice things go in cycles. They don't go up for forever. And so this could very well turn around and go down. Or it could go down for a while before it goes up. It's had some really good bullishness versus most everything else in crypto. I mean, this chart looks very different from most of the altcoin market. I do not FOMO into what everyone is talking about. Look, this is the bandwagon that everyone likes to jump on because they look at this and we assume that what has been happening in the market is what is going to continue to happen. Now, I don't know what the odds are that it breaks to the downside versus the upside. What I'd say is they're not in line with what I like to trade. I like to take trades where I feel like very strongly the chance that it goes up from here is much stronger than it is that it goes down. And so I can't say KASPA is at all interesting to me for a couple of reasons. Number one, the market cap's already so high. So now, does that mean it can't go to a $100 billion market cap? No, it might. It's at a 3.5. I just don't know that it will. Why is KASPA going to get more traction than some of the other blockchains out there? Now, KASPA is fast. That's going for it. Now, how easy is it to use? That is what I don't know. Because one of the challenges is ease of use. Like one of the reasons I'm getting concerned about Cardano having a massive run coming up. I think Cardano is going to run from here. Will it have a massive run from here? I don't know, because so many users are going to using a MetaMask or a Trust wallet, and it still integrates with its own wallets. And it's hard for when all the people come in to get easy traction without having to get yet another different wallet, instead of being able to integrate with what everyone's using. And if they aren't able to make that transition to where MetaMask and the other wallets can easily use them, well, then some of these ones that aren't integrated into the mainstream of what everyone's using, they will still do well in a bull market, just not as well. And where does KASPA fall on that? I don't know. For me, this is definitely a wait. I am not going to chase into it what's high, hoping it goes higher. And that's just how I trade it. Now, there's a lot of people who do differently from me. Paul, has said a wait too. He wants a confirmation that it's going to break to the upside, which is smart because there is some concerns that it breaks to the downside from here. So it is absolutely a wait for me. Now, if it broke to the upside, would I possibly take a short-term trade? Yeah, if there wasn't anything really, really cheap that I was loading up on, I had some extra liquidity. I do sometimes take those kind of swing trades. And so it's not at a point that it's clear that it's going to break to the upside of this. So it's definitely a wait for me. If not, this would actually probably be a sell for me. And not that I don't like its prospects. I don't see why KASPA won't do well in a bull run. But I like to sell what's expensive to buy what's low. And there's so many things that are low. All right. Let's take a look at Umbrella. We have not looked at Umbrella in quite a while.
Yeah. So Umbrella is still in a basing phase. We got this downward trend. First rally, move down. Second rally, move down. This could be a head and shoulders reversal, which is a technical pattern that a lot of technicians look at. You get this sort of 1, 2, 3 dip and then a break to the upside. But it's contingent on a break of this resistance. And at the moment, it just seems like we're still in this basing phase, and then we get the trending phase once it gets through the resistance point. So it's got a bit more work to do. The next move would be it digging its heels in somewhere around here, and then the trend moving up towards that line, and then a break of it, of course. So we can over time watch the market creating the low and then heading towards its trigger point. But in the short term, we still need that first step here. We need that step where it's found support, turning around, and then getting close to the point where the major base is complete. And then the prospects of a big rally become, from a technical point of view, very high. And it would confirm that all this has just been a base building process, and the trend then should be as aggressive on the upside as we're seeing on the downside. So there's a few things that need to happen before we get there, and obviously we're going to have to look at it again in the future and see where it's finding support and when that trend is moving towards this trigger. So it's a wait, as you probably guess, because most things are right at this point, but there's still this potential of a major base that I think is really appealing. So yeah, we should have to come back to it.
Yeah, it is forming a nice base. I always think of Umbrella fondly, and I'll share why. So those that have been with the channel for a long time, you'll remember me talking about it right in this zone here. And through some back channels, somebody I know that's heavily involved in the crypto like startup space and advising projects connected me to Umbrella and said, you should really take a look at what's going on with them. And they're going to be doing a major marketing push. And I think they have a lot of upside. So talk to the team. Then when I talked to them, I said, hey, do you mind if I share this information with my viewers, or is this information that can't be discussed? They're like, oh, no, you can totally talk about this. So I shared with the viewers what was going on, and their price was all the way down at 10 and 20 cents. And so we had some good knowledge that wasn't necessarily public knowledge that everyone knew, but it wasn't secret knowledge. And so myself and many of the audience members that also liked what they were hearing got a really, really nice upswing on this. And that was nice and juicy. Now, we then entered a bear market. And so the price has corrected down. It's gotten really cheap and is trading in a really good zone. And it's looking really, really interesting. Market cap's all the way at 3.2 million. That's what I like to hear. It was recently all the way up at 4 cents. And now it's down 75% from there. It's getting really juicy. Good call on this. This would be a buy for me at this price. So great job. I really like the team when I spoke to them. Now, they're operating in the same sphere as Chainlink, obviously a much smaller company, but should the narrative hit, they can have much bigger swings or return on investment as the market cap is so small. So I like this one. Good suggestion. Let's take a look at LCX.
So LCX, interesting chart. We had this base and it's already completed its base, moving up from that. Try to get towards these lofty levels where we've got these big spikes, which show that there was a lot of panic buying, which then reversed out. A little more measured at these highs, so it could still be part of this. There could be more to come, in other words, because there hasn't been a blow off. But it's got to be recognized that this has been a corrective move. There's been a topping pattern from this point. but we're also 50% off the high. So we've got 40 cents. We're down at 20 cents. There is some support at 20 cents. It's trying to dig in around 20 cents. The big level really is around 15. So I think it might have a go at getting to 15 before this then turns around again. And we can draw in an upward trend line that would come from this low point, which was the start of this bull move, to wherever it digs its heels in. So we could put that in for the moment because that's the first point. Major support point is actually pretty close to it here as well, so that would fit in. But so I'd say between 20 and 15 cents is where the support is on this, and then we'd look for a move upwards, confirmation of support, and then once it's moving up, it would then look pretty good from the context of this being a base and this being the first part or impulsive move of the trend on its way to getting back up to 55 cents. So in the short term, it has to be a wait for me, but there are some long-term things to look out for that suggest that this could be going higher. And a couple of steps down the road, it could look far more interesting than it is today. So again, I think we should revisit it. But for now, I'm going to have to wait.
Yeah, this is one to keep an eye on. I can't say I know tons about it. I was just researching what I could about it. Here it is on CoinMarketCap. So some of the first things I look at is I like to look at what is their market cap. So 163 million. A lot of their tokens are in circulation, 81% of their tokens. Where is it tradable? It's on Coinbase and Kraken. Well, that's good news. That means you can easily have a lot of people come in and buy it. So next is the price cheap? And it's like, well, cheap, maybe relatively. Is it a great deal? Probably not a great deal. Is it a good deal? Maybe. So probably there was some news that recently came out, pumped it all the way up here. I'd look for a higher retracement. You might not get it at these lows from back here again, but you might be able to get it closer to them. Right now it's 4 or 5x up from these lows. So I'd look for it to be cheaper. A little bit about them. Next generation crypto exchange, regulated, trusted, Liechtenstein compliant launch from Liechtenstein, I think is where the LCX comes from. Maybe Liechtenstein crypto exchange. I don't know. Compliant launchpad, tokenized bonds. I don't use them or know anything about them really. If I were seriously going to buy this, I'd definitely be watching some interviews with the team behind it. I can't tell you how important that is to understand who are the people behind it and running it. Makes all the difference when you're investing in a business, which essentially when you're buying a token, you are investing in a business and you got to know who's running it. So interesting. This is one to keep an eye on. It is not one that I'd be buying at these. It would just a good one to keep an eye on. All right, we have a super chat in from Bill Gardner, so he does get bumped up to the front of the line, and he wants us to look at ESS, which is the Essence token for Earth 2. And Bill is a great friend of the channel. Had him on Omi as my homie a couple episodes ago. Really he's got a good business background, and it's fun to hear how he thinks about things. So I'm looking for ESS. I'm finding Essentia on CoinMarketCap. Let me know if you're getting. I don't know that this is it. I have a feeling it's not. No, it's definitely not. Let me try CoinGecko. Sometimes when tokens just start being tradable, there we go. CoinGecko has it. Earth 2 Essence. So we probably don't have very much history on it. We don't. Let's see what we can find out. Almost nothing. Max supply is 1 billion. We have no idea how many are in circulation, what the total supply is, or even what the market cap is. Although we could figure out the fully diluted market cap. The fully diluted market cap would be $110 million right now. Okay, wow. That's a concern. But what is their actual market cap? My guess is not a lot are in circulation. So their actual market cap is somewhere between, who knows, 2 million to 30 million, depending on how many tokens are in circulation. All right, we got a super sticker coming in too. It does get you bumped to the front of the line, and we have a busy show. We're not going to be able to get to all the suggestions today. Okay, 311 million circulation. Bill Gardner says that's helpful information. That's still a $31 million market cap. That's pretty high for blockchain gaming. Now, they have been around for a long time. This is one that when I looked at it in 2021, I was very concerned it was going to be a fly-by-night company that they would release. They basically took a map of the world, overlaid it with like some sellable plots, and raised a whole ton of money. And I thought they would totally just go away in the bear market. And they didn't. They stuck around and continued developing. And so I'm concerned about that market cap versus where blockchain gaming is right now. And that the token just launched. A lot of times when tokens just launch, it gets everyone excited about it. And then kind of the shine comes off and fades on it. Any insights you're seeing, Paul? I know there's not much price history for you to really take a look at.
Yeah, unfortunately, not really. There's just a few days, which it just isn't enough to give a technical view. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry about that. I just need a bit more history. So yeah,
totally understandable. Blue Exorcist with a super sticker says, what are your thoughts on Spores Network long term? Well, Spores Network is one that I hold a lot of, and I really, really like it for Launchpad. Now, gaming launchpads, do really well when the gaming narrative hits. As we saw last October, November, when the gaming narrative started hitting, it absolutely took off, and it's come back down. Now, you'll see a lot of channels covering Cetify. Cetify's market cap is like 200x where Spores market cap is. Where Spores often gets a lot of the good launches too. So if you're looking to participate in the launches, why the hell would you buy Cetify tokens and pay a ton more in order to be able to get access to the launches and get a much smaller token allocation than you could get from something like Spores? So Spores, the team behind it, is really well connected. They don't have major influencers talking about them all the time like Cetify does. Cool. I like buying cheap, and Cetify is not cheap at this point in the market. Like last I checked, their market cap was like 150 million, 200 million. Ouch. That price tag is super expensive. I like Spores a lot more. Anything you're seeing on their price?
Yeah, I thought I had an up-to-date chart which looked quite interesting until I realized it's not actually up to date. So let me have a look and see what we've got. I think we've looked at it somewhere on here. Is it this one? Yeah, there we go. That was a good guess. Yeah, so this is, look, if we look at this previous chart, you can see how it's potentially basing. I think this looks nicer, even though it's not up to date. And I think it's still potentially doing that, although it is quite volatile. We've got these rising lows. We've got this resistance zone that's all in the same area. So when everything turns around, I think it'd be really important to see if this will get some momentum to get through this resistance. And then once it's done that, we should have a really nice upward trend. So I think it's definitely interesting. Where we are here, it's still a wait. If I was feeling brave and really bullish, and had spare capital, I might put a little bit in it here, with the expectation of then putting a proper position on when it properly bases. So definitely one that's very interesting from a technical point of view, but still hasn't just quite confirmed that it's made this base yet. So we will definitely be watching it in the next phase, as soon as everything starts turning around, because we want to see this move with it.
Yeah, price really cheap. Market cap is under $1 million. There's lots I like about it. For me, it's a buy at this point. Not a huge buy. It might get cheaper from here, but it'd be a buy just on the market cap price range. Let's get to Jupiter and then OMI, and I think that's all the time we're going to have. Those are the first two suggestions that came in.
Yeah, sure. So is this it? No, it can't be.
Jupiter, it's a Solana exchange.
Okay. Does this look right? 30875.
Now it's trading at 77 cents.
Okay. So you've got JUP as the. Is it this one then? No, that's not it. Let's try. Let's try on this. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, that's could do with a bit more history. It's not terrible, but it's not great. We still need a little bit more. Yeah, it's look as you see here, it's correcting. It had its sort of debut, and then a nice rally, which has fizzled, corrected, went sideways for a bit. That's okay, but since then it's just been drifting and coming back to its breakout points, which is where we are now. So it might have a reaction because it's done 100% turnaround from the start of the bull phase. So it's come back to the breakout points. People remember that and go, okay, this is where it started. They buy some more. That's certainly a potential, but in the short term, I can't buy it. It's a wait because this trend is down, because I can't see a significant base here. And also, I'd be slightly cautious because there's not a whole lot of history. I'd like a little bit more history. But when you look at these highs, you've got this high here, this one that's lower as well. It seems to be accelerating a little bit. And markets do that, and sometimes do it near a low as well, where it digs in, all the sellers get exhausted, and then that's it, and it turns around again. But I would just be a little bit cautious about how it's traded over the last few days. But again, this is one where it wouldn't take that much to turn it around and then look really interesting. So we should come back to it and have another look.
One of my general rules of thumbs is when I hear lots of the major crypto channels talking about something, I will not buy it. And so Jupiter, Solana has been massively in the narrative, especially as people were going crazy with meme coins. And so what were they using to trade the meme coins? Well, Jupiter. And so as Solana's narrative hit and memes hit, well, guess what? Jupiter was squarely in that narrative, and it did tremendous. And then what happens? Well, narratives shift. So now we're seeing the shift down. And my concern was it hasn't been out very long. So we see it tradable on CoinGecko as of just January 2024. So I have a lot of price history on this. The market cap was recently all the way up here. So the market cap was in the several $billion. I know large crypto channels have been talking about that, and it's really easy to then jump on the bandwagon. Here's the problem with the bandwagon. 90% of people do really poorly in crypto. 95% overall don't do very well. Only 5% do exceptionally well. And so when you're jumping on the bandwagon with 90% of people, you should be very concerned. And so this is what happens, right? So these major crypto channels and the influencers who've been in the space since even longer than me, talking about, yeah, I'm adding to my positions of Jupiter and I'm just dollar cost averaging right here, literally at the top. And they've been in crypto for forever. So you would think they would know better. But just because you've been in crypto for a long time doesn't mean you're good at investing. It's kind of like just because you've been in the military for a long time doesn't mean you are anywhere near what like the Navy SEALs are. Like specific training and learning to think the right way and take precise action at precise moments is exactly what you're looking to become as an investor, so that you're solid and unshakable and you're not just jumping on the bandwagon because all the market confirmation is you look to the side, everyone's doing what you're doing. That should really worry you. Now, sometimes you could be like, if you join the Discord, you'll find that everyone in our Rainmaker Discord almost thinks alike, but it's very counter to what the rest of the market thinks. And so, yeah, anyway, so I couldn't buy Jupiter definitely at these prices. I can't buy it now either. Now it could always reverse from here. I don't know where it will go, but Solana hit the narrative so strong, and I called it that I was like, I'm very concerned that it will come out of the narrative. And sure enough, like right near the top, and you know, I got a lot of crap on that video, and they're like, oh no, Solana is just going to go up to $1,000 from here. Oh yeah. Well, how's it done? It corrected. Now it could turn around and go the other way, but this is what I call buying high, hoping it goes higher. Maybe the chances start to go against you, especially since we're not in the full-blown bull run yet. Solana hit this narrative early. Meme coins hit the narrative, and Solana and meme coins hit it together because so many of these meme coins, people were interested, were on Solana. But then as you see with blockchain gaming, like the narrative shifts. And what happens? People then jump out at the same time. They end up selling low to roll into whatever the new bandwagon is. And I just don't play it that way. That way leads to where 90% of people end up, which is not very good at all. 5% do like, okay, they make a little bit of money. Only the last 5% makes exceptional money because they're doing precise things at precise times. They're running into the burning building when everyone is running out. They're buying when there's blood in the streets on well-researched projects that have good, solid fundamentals. And then they're holding till everybody's jumping back in the building. Everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. Oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing. That's when they're taking profits. All right. Last one for us to be able to look at today is OMI. So Jupiter for me is actually a sell at this point. Do I think it can do well? Yes. I don't think it'll do as well as some of the altcoins that have been solidly out of their narrative and been hugely punished. Do I like Jupiter? I like it a lot. It's just high, and I don't know how long that narrative will continue to run. So that's often what I do is I take what's ahead in this early part of the bull market. When something runs early, like I sold EOS, I half my EOS position. Do I think EOS will do well? I do think it'll do well. It's just way, way up, and I sell what's way, way up to roll into things that are way down. Because if I can get a 20x off EOS, and I can roll that into something that does a 50x from there, well, that is 1,000x overall. And that's not how most people behave. They want to buy something that's already gone 20x because they're looking around. It's like, oh, everyone's buying it. And they're trying to dollar cost average more in at those high prices. I want a dollar cost average in on the ones I really, really believe in that are really low. And I want to sell what's way ahead to roll into that. Cool. All right. That chart looks juicy.
Yeah, I guess that's one way of putting it.
It's definitely not within your buy pattern.
Not as yet. I mean, this spike here, I was going to ask whether that was real or whether this is just poor data, because sometimes you get these moves.
It might have been some whales coming in and buying some stuff.
Yeah, okay, because the thing with technicals is because you're looking at the price, it's important to get good price action, and sometimes you see things like this spike here, and then it creates these levels where it's like, well, was that real? Did it really trade there? Because when the market's turning, you get this pickup in buying and the activity changes. So the question is this real activity? Is it really changing its trend, or is it just the wrong price that's been put in? At the moment, I think for me, the filter is that it needs to get back above this support point. Well, it's now resistance point, but it was a support point around, this 55.20 area. And whilst it's below that, I can't touch it. So it's definitely a wait for me. But I'm intrigued by this spike here as to whether that's indicating that we're approaching levels where others are finding this, very cheap, and it will start to turn around. But my technicals, reading the technicals and the discipline of the way technicals works is I can't justify it buying it as yet. There needs to be a little bit more than that, but that is an interesting signal, and it's to be continued, as it were. But for the moment, it's still a wait whilst it's in this position below that support.
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely not where Paul ever buys. He likes confirmation that it's turning around. So he doesn't buy late in the game. He buys later than what I buy. when the confirmation of the charts is signaled a strong turnaround, and then he buys still somewhat early, much before most everyone is really taking notice of it. And that's cool. It's a very strong strategy that works well for him. I like to buy. He doesn't have, well, because he buys so many different markets, he can just pick and choose which charts are looking juicy across all the different markets he's in. I like to use fundamental research that gives me confidence to buy even when the prices are devastatingly low. So is the price devastatingly low? Well, yes. It doesn't even show on this chart how cheap it is versus the historical charts. Now, there is a chart where I think, let's see, I thought I had a bookmark to it. Maybe not. Here we go. It's a very primitive chart, let's just say, without detailed information. But notice the OMI price during the last bear market was much cheaper than it is here. And then it went absolutely parabolic. And then you see this nice big consolidated area. What most people see when they, or say when they see this, is OMI's dead. Oh my gosh, look at these charts. It's absolutely dead. Nothing happening here. Well, as an investor looking to make massive returns, you want to buy low, and it's pretty clear by the charts the price is low. So that's followed up by the second question of, is the token going to go high from here? Now, people that think it's dead obviously think, no, it's not going to go high from here. It's dead. Now, the project behind this is absolutely working extremely hard and are anything but dead. They have incoming revenues all the time with their different digital collectible launches. They have massive partnerships. So the team behind this is alive and working very, very hard and very productive. So this project is anything but dead. In fact, it's just solidly out of the narrative. Plus, when they launched their token, and I know because I bought in their pre-sale in 2018, they locked up their team tokens for like 3 years. Well, guess what happened as the price was at some of these highs? Right here is when their team unlock started to happen. Now, the price from here was massively, massively up from the price their team got some tokens on. So can you blame some of their team for taking profits and essentially some of them becoming millionaires? I don't blame them. So they got punished not only by the bear market, but by some token investing. It's gone into this really cheap category, and a lot of people are writing this off. And I am loving picking it up at really cheap prices. And I've been dollar cost averaging in. So, yeah, this chart is scary because it broke to new lows. And it might continue down from here. I hope it does. But I thought anything below 0.001 was a great price. And now it's half that price. So it's a doubly great price because fundamentally, I like the team behind this, what they're doing. And the digital collectibles narrative is going to hit, and it's going to be hit really hard. Now, there's some people that say, they make the argument that, oh, it won't hit this bull run. Now, I don't see why it won't. Just because it feels a million miles away from happening now, doesn't mean anything. Narratives can shift very, very quickly. Blockchain gaming, people were arguing with me in September of last year saying, blockchain gaming, no, nothing's going to happen. Myria, nothing's going to happen. Month later, everyone's like, blockchain gaming, blockchain gaming, blockchain gaming. So narratives can shift very, very quickly. And at some point, I think this will solidly come into the narrative. Now, there is a slight chance that they're right. I would give it like a 5% chance that it doesn't solidly hit this bull run. I feel like the odds are massively stacked in my favor as I add more to this position. For you, I'm going to give you financial advice, and I won't. You make your own decisions. But OMI, for me, is an amazing buy at these prices. Cool. All right, Paul, we had a bunch of people asking about Definity and they're like, I know Paul won't go into it. Definity is great. Chris said, these charts are great, but don't tell Paul DFX might be the best buy of them all. I will disclose I have massive Definity positions myself. So yeah, they are also a strategic partner of the channel. So if you join us when we do our live streams, we give away Definity tokens. Live streams are once a month on a Friday.
Yeah, I would say do your own research. You're going to find some great things. That's all I can say.
I like it. Paul, thanks so much for joining us. It's been amazing. I know the audience been looking forward to this episode.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it too. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your picks, and see you soon.
All right. Next week, we are going to do it Tuesday. So
Tuesday
next week.
Yeah, Tuesday next week. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Cheers.
Yes. So I was traveling this last week and haven't done a lot of videos lately because I was traveling and enjoying LA. They say sell in May and go away. Summers in crypto are most often boring. Maybe 1 out of every 4 years, the summer is quite adventurous, but it's not a surprise that this summer, the price action has been boring and going down. I mean, I guess you could say it's not boring, it's scary. Okay. So this does frequently happen, and this is just like another week in crypto. Now, next week, it could be going crazy. This last week, the prices have been punished. What I have enjoyed is that many of you have stuck with us on this channel. And you notice like we think differently here, and we share different things than what you're hearing in other places. Now, one of the things to note, if you're here for massive gains, you do have to learn to think differently. You're going to do things differently than what most people are doing. Most people do not end up there. I know it seems like, oh, if you're just in the crypto space, you're going to make massive money. I've been here 7 years, and I thought that too when I was new. It doesn't play out that way. If you're doing the right things, like this is the best chance you've had in history to go from zero to massive wealth. But if you're not doing the right things, it will go mediocre for you or not even well at all. A lot of people do jump on bandwagons. They then find out what a retracement is all about, and then they jump out at lows to jump on a new bandwagon and then get hit the retracement by that. And a couple times of that, you get wrecked. And what happens? People then just leave the crypto space, think it's all fake and fraud, and they didn't realize that if you're not doing the right things, you're going to have very bad results. Even though blockchain technology is going to go massively, like change the world in many ways from here. When you're buying the wrong things or you're buying the right things, but at the wrong time, it's going to go poorly for you. If you're interested in the course, there is a link for that below. There's also a code to get 50% off. We did just massively redo the course, added a bunch of things in there, redid the videos. Yeah, hope you enjoy. Join us later today. We're going to have Randy and Dr. Steph join us for our next Omi is My Homie episode. Also, I may go live with some Illuvium gameplay. Illuvium's in their, was it private beta or public beta? But essentially everyone can join it. And they're doing an airdrop based on gameplay, like time that you play, plus the amount of points that you earn. And so you can earn some airdrop of the ILV tokens. Now, I look at ILV and I think, where can Illuvium go from here? I don't know. I think it can go 30 to 100x from these prices. So putting some time in to earn some of their airdrop points, well, cool. You get some credit for the time you play. You get a much bigger credit if you're playing effectively. You're doing the right thing. So I might do some gameplay. I have spent some time playing this the last, like month. And so I'll show if I'll probably go live with that. And I just got to get up, walk around, been in this chair for too long. And then maybe I'll do some live gameplay so I can show you some of the things that I've learned if you're interested in playing that, or you're just interested from the economic standpoint of, is this game going to actually do well? So you get a feel for the gameplay. That way you can take a look at the token and see if you think the token is undervalued right now versus what the future value may be. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Chris, for the background. Yeah, so Tosh did a few different backgrounds for us. Love it. So, hey, couldn't get to all your suggestions. I appreciate all the interaction, everyone. We will see you all soon. Enjoy this wrap. Just fun way to cap off every episode. Reinforce these principles that do make all the difference over time. Thanks so much.
To the space, chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, shit, buy before you could. Was told to buy when it was pouring like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the post that I miss. Cause I always made the time in mind. I stick the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I'll sell when it's high, I buy buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't leave with my heart. Principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Why when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, got parabolic to dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes it time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Time is never better, but time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, studying to know that nothing comes easy, but with knowledge the game show. Thinking that best run can soon become a bear market. Learning and growing, and when it's slow will be the target. Naysayers come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. Sticking around, the time is better. Strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time, the ball will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort, cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go with the hate, let the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes it time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I'll follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough. And that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.